Brooke, welcome to our Five Rivers podcast. I'm really excited to get a chance to speak with you today. So before we get started, could you introduce yourself to our listeners and talk a little bit about your work when it comes to plant-based nutrition and wellness in general?
Yes, I'm Reverend Dr. Brooke Brimm, meaning that I am a metaphysical practitioner. So not a there's the Reverend Doctor there, but not your Christian pastor. I call myself a minister of mind, body, and spirit, where I am a certified yoga instructor. I teach mindfulness, meditation, and plant-based, plant-dominant cooking and eating, and just overall well-being of people. So, I have training in mental health, a graduate degree in mental health, and I went to seminary for
Mm.
metaphysical studies, and I've taken nutrition along the way and yoga classes and all of that. So it's just important for me that I help the entire whole person with
Mhm.
their wellness and with their journey in life.
Perfect, perfect. Now let's dive right into our conversation. So,
Mhm.
why do you think conversations around fiber, strength training, and plant forward eating, and that's a term that I think is getting used more and more, plant forward eating, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. But why do you think it's becoming more and more important, especially for folks that are living with pre-diabetes and type 2 diabetes?
Well, I think that we just haven't, like, it's been out there. The information
Mm.
has been out there, yes. But I think the notion of sugar free and that the branding around sugar free and uh, these kinds of foods kind of won over um, just plain whole foods,
Mm.
and whole foods plants um, that are in the whole foods form have a lot of fiber.
Mm.
So they have just started gaining uh, popularity, or we've started just gaining more education about it. And I think it may have to do with people just getting more excited about eating plants now. So it just kind of folded in to the conversation, because when I was younger, growing up in the 70s and the 80s, we felt like to fight things like diabetes, drink a tab. You know
Mm.
what I mean? Or sugar free, everything. Everything was sugar free. And I think we're just learning now that plants that have just been around forever are the key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's what's interesting is that when we look at different cultures, and I travel a lot. My family and I we travel to all different parts of the world, and when you look at different cultures, there's there a lot of them do consume a fair amount of meat, for example, right? Especially when you go to Latin America, there's a lot of meat consumption. Uh, and you go to far east Southeast Asia, there's a lot of meat consumption, but there's so much plant based or plants in general that are included with pretty much every single meal. You look at, for example, we were in Korea this past summer. If you look at a meal at a Korean restaurant, you will start with those fermented veggies, the kimchi and the bean sprouts and things like that, the salads. So you're getting so much of that to begin with, and I think that relates back to the fiber, which takes me to the next question, which is what exactly is fiber? How does it impact blood sugar level, especially post meals after consumption?
Well, fiber is basically the plant walls, the
Mm.
cell walls of plants, right? Animal protein does not have the same plant structure, the cell wall structure that plants do.
Mm.
Um, so what fiber does, a couple things: it can get sticky
Mm.
and stick to things that you don't want. like your lousy LDL cholesterol. You might want you want uh, soluble fiber to stick to that and
Mm,
drag it away, or you want insoluble fiber to come through your digestive tract
mm,
all the way through your GI system and drag away things you don't need. So because it doesn't break down, it kind of drags things away, things that you don't need. That's the easy way that I like to try to explain it. You know, it sticks to things and it drags things away, and
mm.
that is important for, I think, for lay people to know the easy way of how fiber works,
Okay.
because to me it feels like if you've kind of gotten into a situation where you're pre-diabetic or you're diabetic, then you may not have known how fiber worked in the first place. So you don't need a whole scientific um, definition of how it works, because it wasn't working anyway.
Mm, mm.
You know what I mean? You need simple. You need it very simple. So you need to know a Twinkie is not going to have fiber, you know.
Remember that, right? That's a note to self, listeners. Twinkie does not have fiber.
Right. And, you know, a hamburger is not going to have fiber unless you
Yeah.
add fiber to it, like plants, like
Mm,
avocado or lettuce and
mm.
tomato and onion and things. You can add plants to it to add more fiber. But basically, the animal protein does not have the same cell wall.
Got it. You know
Mhm.
what's interesting is that as I hear you kind of explain this to me from a layman's term perspective as well, and as I'm thinking, majority of the industry has moved so much into the big three macros, right?
Mhm.
The protein, the carbs, the fat, right? They keep harping on that, they keep hammering that down, because I think majority of foods end up having that as the major component or the major sort of ingredient, if you will, a
Mhm.
makeup of the meal or the food product. So fiber to me, if I were, would it be accurate to capture and say fiber is sort of the unsung hero? That, hey, you keep focusing on protein. Yeah, you should eat more protein for muscle building and the stay full, satiety, so on and so forth. But don't forget, again, that unsung hero in the back is that fiber content in the food. Would that be sort of a easy statement to make? Would that be a subjective statement to make, to say that it is that?
Yeah, I think, yeah, it is. It is the unsung hero, like you say. When I write a plan for someone
Mm,
who needs a pre-diabetic, maybe high blood pressure, if I write a behavioral plan about what to eat and how they should conduct themselves and the kind of things that they should eat, I always write it in terms of fiber.
mm.
I don't necessarily, I don't write it like protein, you know,
Interesting.
carbs, um, fats. I don't write it that way. I write it like fiber. I want you to be able to have, so if you're going to have a smoothie, that's going to give you fiber. If you decide to juice your plants, you're not going to get as much fiber. So
Mm,
so you're kind of dumping a lot of sugar. Yeah, you're getting the nutrients, but you're dumping a lot of sugar into your system. So I do frame it around fiber, because I really want people to get that. You know what I mean? To get how important the fiber is. Um,
got it.
so yeah, because I see a lot of people, I run a large vegan group, about it's 500,000 people. And we monitor when people talk about uh, just juicing all fruit.
Mm,
Oh, I'm just juicing all fruit. Well, we filter that out,
mm.
because we need you to be more responsible, or the poster to be more responsible about what they're promoting. Even though it is, whole fruit that's being juiced, it's not as healthy if you're not getting the fiber, if you're not slowing the absorption of the sugar into your system. It's just like drinking a Pepsi.
You're stripping it away,
Mhm.
and again mitigating the, yeah, it feels good. Hey, I had a juice, I had pulp free juice and whatnot, but you just got rid of something that was a very important component of that. So to your point, hey, if you're gonna go, if you would say make a smoothie, it's a much better option. And again, especially if some of the other ingredients besides the plants that are going to be used for the smoothie, for the most part, will probably have some inherent fiber in that as well,
Mhm.
which will help or add to the fiber content of the entire meal. So that does make sense. You brought up a point about the vegan. By the way, 500,000 members or people, but that's huge. And I know vegan diet has gained a lot of popularity. A lot of people are trying to switch over to that, at least trying
Mhm.
it out and see how it works. Tell me from your experience in this group. It's obviously a large group, and probably not going to have all the data on the top of your head. But as you've seen these folks that have migrated to a vegan diet, as they have started to switch over to a more plant-based diet, what have they seen as the changes in their metabolic state, be it from a diabetes perspective, pre-diabetes, overall gut health, blood pressure, all that? What has the impact been that you have noticed or they have shared with you overall?
Well, a lot of people talk about getting off of meds.
Mm,
They don't have to be on the meds as much. And well, let me just say this too. This, my group, even though it's a vegan food group, the majority of the members are not vegan
mm,
and they're not 100% plant-based.
mm,
They just really, really value this idea of incorporating plants into their diet. And most of them, they do it for health reasons in my group.
mm.
There's all kinds of different groups that do all kinds of, some vegan groups are about politics, more different things. But in my group, we really focus on keeping it about vegan foods, right? And so because of that, a lot of the members are not vegan and they are there for health. And so they do feel, their blood pressure has stabilized. They're not on as many meds. Some people have gone into remission for autoimmune disorders, things like that. We don't talk a whole lot about health in the group because health is a personal journey.
Fair enough.
And sometimes when you deal with groups like, well, any kind of large group like a half a
Yeah.
million people, you're going to have a lot of different ideas about a lot of different things. So we had to make sure that we regulate it and make it just about how to prepare plant things, how to get really good plant things, what dish you made, and not so much about your health per se, because
Got it. Got it.
we wouldn't want someone to say, I ate all strawberries and now I am not, diabetic. And then someone else who hasn't gotten any numbers checked, hasn't done anything hasn't gone to a doctor at all, just listen to internet advice and they run off and try to do all strawberries and think they're going to get the same results. So we really try to regulate misinformation.
Yeah. No, that's
Yeah.
wow. That's a great point because, yeah, logistically speaking, and to your point, I mean, people have different approaches. Some things might work for one person versus the other.
Hmm.
And to make a general statement or say that, hey, here's the panacea, go do it, might not be the most responsible thing to do, especially in a group this large that can have a big voice, right? I mean, a
Hmm.
collective of 500,000 people can truly change minds if they decided to. So I agree with that.
Yeah, for instance, someone asked the question the other day, and I let the question, be in the group. Someone asked the question, do you like Beyond or do you like Impossible?
Ah,
And I'm sure that the original poster got didn't get much information from the responses because everybody just throws in their opinion.
yeah,
And I hate it. I love it. It's nasty. It's this, it's that. So we try to filter out a lot of it, but some of it we let go, and you just don't get that much good information because you're getting just so much information,
yeah.
so much opinion, so many opinions.
Yeah.
But back to the point about health, I think one thing we really like to promote is that people listen to their body,
Mm,
right? So make sure this is, I'm not even a proponent of going 100% plant-based if you're not ready and if it's not your time and if it's not for you, right? But I am a huge proponent of people getting 30 plus variations of plants a week. So whatever you do outside of that, it's not my business, but I really do promote that we get that 30 variations of plants per week, and that is for a healthy microbiome.
mm.
And when you have that healthy gut microbiome, then everything can be positively affected. Your mental health, your spiritual health, your physical health, everything. You can get on the road to um, being in remission for things like cancer, autoimmune disorders. Because once you start adding 30 plus plants a week, it's not only good for your gut microbiome, but it also adjusts your taste buds. So
Mm.
if you're just adjusted your taste buds to eat more plants, then you're going to want more and more plants, and that's just going to lead to more and more health, I
That is
believe.
very interesting. That is, I had no idea. I mean, again, theoretically speaking, and everybody knows, hey man, broccoli is good for you, right? Everybody knows
Hmm.
that. But the changes that those small incremental ads can make, right? So for example, hey, if you don't eat any vegetables and I trust me, I have a lot of friends that, man, they the V word in their mind, keep it away from me. I'm not
Hmm.
gonna eat vegetables. And they for them it's a starting point, right? It just have something, right? And then increase over time. You brought up a very interesting point about gut microbiome, and I think that I want you to say more on that, because I think that is something it's something that people hear all the time, but people don't really understand it all the time, right? So
Hmm.
if you were talking to somebody that just came off the street, or having just met you at a coffee shop, for example, and said, "Hey, Brooke, tell me, what is gut microbiome, and what is the impact of it?" Obviously, there you said there's a lot of, you can go into remission for a lot of different diseases, but when
Hmm.
it comes to specifically diabetes, for example, or other metabolic health issues, how does the gut microbiome impact that? So I'm gonna give you some time to speak to that, but start maybe at a little bit of basic level, and then get to a point where you can explain a little bit about the impact that it has on the diseases.
Well, when we are eating inside of our digestive tract, all the way our whole GI tract, there are good bacterias, bad bacterias, right? And what we really need is for those two to work very well together.
Mm.
That's important. If one gets out of whack, if you get too much bad, too much good, if it's not working, it's just like a marriage. If somebody gets too far this way or too far that way, it can mess up the whole system, right? And so what we're really trying to do is make sure that we're having a good balance of good and bad bacteria in our gut.
Mm.
And when you have that, then it spreads out into your whole body and makes things healthier for you. Now, fiber actually just is a part of that mix as well, right? You want that whole environment to just have a good balance. And
Mm.
it's not, so a lot of people nowadays, because they believe in it, right? Oh, or they've heard it and they think that, yeah, they should have a good gut microbiome. And so they might be drinking the prebiotic
Yeah.
sodas and the probiotic sodas, and they think that, hey, I've done it. But again, it's like Tab. A lot of that, going back to Tab, I'm dating myself. A lot of that
Yeah, I grew up on
is
that too.
okay, yeah, okay, is branding.
Hmm.
And there's a study that showed that you could just get 30 plus plants a week and you are going to naturally create a nice microbiome in your gut. But here's the thing, that because people are like 30 plus plants a week, well, what does that mean? So let's
Mm,
just say
I was going
that
to ask you.
let's just say you see, you decide to get some grape tomatoes, but at the store you see the grape tomatoes that are the heirloom tomatoes as well. So they have a little yellow, a
Mm,
little purple in there, right? Grab that one instead,
mm.
because instead of just getting the one variety of tomato, now you have gotten at least three. So that counts as three plants, right? So instead of just going for the beet that is the purple one, grab the golden one as well, because now you've made a golden beet salad. Instead of just going for the green pepper or red pepper alone, get the tricolored. So you've gotten a little more plants. Your coffee, you can put a little cinnamon in there. Yeah, your spices count as well as adding to that gut microbiome. So it's a lot easier than what it seems. People feel like, oh, that's a daunting task. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of plants. But sometimes you can get, 10 plants in a sandwich.
Yeah.
If you just made a avocado spread and you added some garlic powder, onion powder to it, and
Mm.
then tomatoes, onions, and you have a multigrain bread that has maybe 12 seeds in it. So you've really done a lot without even thinking about it. So it's really is a matter of consciousness and different choices. Like,
My
and
God,
just,
that is. Sorry, finish your thought, please.
no, that's it. Yeah.
That is so intuitive. I'm just thinking in my head, I'm going, at first when you said the number 30, right? The number 30 seems daunting. It's like, man, if it's 7 days a week, 3 meals a day, let's assume you eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, a couple of
Mhm.
snacks, you're talking about 27, 28 meals total. It's like, man, you talk about at least one meal has multiple vegetables to get to that 30 number. But the way you just explained it, which is all right, let's say you're just having one meal, you're just having a sandwich. You can make it in a manner that counts towards that goal of 30. Now, does it matter, or how much does it matter? Maybe that's the right question.
Mhm.
If, let's say, tomatoes are cooked versus they're raw, does it make a big difference? Or is it, hey, you're getting something at least regardless, even if it's cooked?
No, yeah, it actually, now, this is the thing. I grew up in my health. My grandmother was a vegetarian for 50 years.
Hmm.
So I actually learned from her um, since a child that when you prepare veggies a different way, you get different nutrients from them, because the chemical process of cooking releases different things. So obviously, I mean, I'm not going to say obviously, but maybe um, people don't know, but if you cook tomatoes, you're going to get it's actually more healthy than raw, right? You get more lycopene if you cook the
Hmm.
tomatoes. So my grandmother taught me, and this is now coming out in the research and everybody's all excited about it, but she taught me, sometimes you do it raw, sometimes you bake it, sometimes you boil it,
Hmm.
because the chemical reactions just are going to give you a different nutrients. And if you're, a vegetarian or vegan, it's important to get the different nutrients different ways,
Got
because
it.
because I think, when you eat meat, or the assumption is when you eat meat that you're just going to get, you're definitely going to get you're going to get complete proteins right away, right? So that, yes, that's true about the complete proteins, but we also assume you're just going to get more nutrients from eating the meat, and that may or may not be so. But my grandmother just taught me to make things all different ways.
Got it.
So.
Got it. Now, do you, in your experience in this space, do you see that there are any myths about, fiber specifically, that you hear and you almost have to roll your eyes and go, my God, where did you hear that?
No, I don't hear that too many myths about fiber, more about protein.
All right, say more.
Yeah, so we have gone protein crazy in our society. Like we really
Yeah.
feel like protein is just the answer to everything. And many people believe that if you eat all plant dominant, all plant forward, plant based, that you're not getting protein. And that is just not true. All vegetables have protein. And you can mix them if you want to get a complete protein, which is your 9 amino acids, right? I think it's 9, yeah. If you mix them at one meal, then you can get a complete protein. For instance, yeah, so you can mix, let's say if you're a vegetarian, you can just mix dairy with noodles, like a macaroni and cheese, you made a complete protein. If you are vegan, you can do a cashew nut mix and make cashew based macaroni and cheese. You made a complete protein. When you buy the whole grain bread, and I mentioned earlier about
Yeah.
getting the ones with the seeds,
Yeah.
complete protein because you've added seeds with the grains, complete protein. But the complete proteins can even happen through different meals. It doesn't always have to happen at one meal, but if you're really conscious of it and you want it to happen, then you can, just choose things that help you get the complete protein. But all vegetables, not all fruits, but all vegetables have protein. And so, they always say, you vegans, you're not getting enough protein, but we are, because all vegetables have protein. Now, if there are some vegans that don't eat vegetables and don't eat a lot of vegetables, which that is a thing. Yeah, there are lots of people who are plant-based who don't eat enough plants. Yeah, which is shocking, but it's they eat a lot of processed foods. And I don't have a problem with processed foods, and I don't have a problem with vegan processed foods, but I definitely feel like we need to practice processing our whole foods into things like sauces and meals and patties and that kinds of thing. Process it with our own hands and tools. But like I said, I don't have a problem with the things that you buy in the frozen section or the refrigerated section. I just feel like it's important that we also have a good mix of whole
Yeah.
foods.
Yeah. It's I was just thinking, I was like, yeah, so for somebody who goes, hey man, I'm vegan now. I'm just gonna be vegan, and then 30% of their meals is French fries from McDonald's. Like, did you really get healthier? I mean, no,
Exactly, exactly.
you're eating the wrong thing, buddy. It's not just the fact that it's a vegetable, I mean, potato, but
Mhm,
how is it cooked? To your point, like your grandmother said, right? I mean, the intensity, the cooking method, the process
mhm.
is either gonna strip away or modify sort of that fiber
Right.
angle or the nutrient angle. And
Mhm.
French fries is not it. That's not really gonna
Right,
cut it
right,
for you.
exactly. The French
Perfect.
fries are already, and as a rule, I just really don't like to go into fast food
Yeah.
places. And
Yeah.
this is only because of food science.
Mm.
So I don't have a problem with eating out, but I always tell, my clients and my group members and my followers, um, choose mom and pop shops.
Yeah.
Don't choose fast food.
Yeah.
Even, or, very, very, keep it down to a minimum, because they have labs and they are in
Yeah.
there trying to figure out how much salt, how much sugar, that they can give you so that you'll just come back and crave it, and you'll be their repeat customer. So even if it says, for instance, Dunkin' Donuts has a avocado toast. Yeah, and I've had it a couple times, and I don't think any avocado was in there, or not very little. It doesn't, it's just
It was avocado that was moved around, just shown to the bread,
something.
and then that was it,
Yeah,
right?
I'm not really sure what's in it.
Yeah.
So I try to stay away from it. But I think Dunkin' Donuts is the last fast food that I have to kind of remind myself not to go to, because I can remember when Dunkin' Donuts seemed to be like independently owned and used to be able to get
Yeah.
fresh fresh soup out of there. And so I have to remind myself, no, it's food science now. So you don't go, just stay out of there.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's what's interesting is I was watching gosh, I can't remember what I was watching. Maybe it was a documentary or some clip that talked about the acquisition, if you go back in time about 20, 30 years ago, the acquisition of these food companies, Nabisco, Kraft, so on and so forth, by the tobacco industry, right? So the
oh,
parent
yeah.
company from the tobacco companies ended up buying a lot of these food companies because
Right.
they went, okay, we know how to get things addictive, right?
Hmm.
So can we use sort of the same science, sort of same mindset to be able to, in the quickly prepared meal segment or the fast food? And what we have noticed with the folks that we work with, what's interesting is, to your point, right? Don't just go to a fast food restaurant. Look at the options that are better for you. Look at the options that are healthier for you. So, for example, if a nutritionist assigns a meal plan to somebody based on their progression of diabetes or where they are in their A1C, for example. Let's say there's a meal plan designed for me
Hmm.
specifically. Well, that meal plan is based to have the max impact. So if you say, hey, I want to go eat out, there's no point me telling you, and we have a restaurant finder feature in the app, for
Hmm.
example. There's no point
Right.
me saying, hey, here's the 50 restaurants in your within 3 miles, because you can find that on Google Map. You can use it on your iPhone and say, hey, show me my nearby restaurants, and you got the list. The
Hmm.
tricky part is, what we have done is we look at a person's meal plan, and then when the person says, I want to go eat out, it only recommends the restaurants within that distance that has food that sticks close to their meal plan, right?
Oh, that's
And
great.
within those restaurants, it says good, neutral, or avoid. Because again, it's about choices. If I were to go to any
Hmm.
human being, or if anybody, even you for that matter, as a person with
Yeah.
who's got authority in the space, and say, okay, you're done. You're never going to eat this. It's not going to be followed. It's that human psychology. It's like, oh, you're going to tell me not to do this? I feel like doing
Right.
it, right?
Yes.
So we were like,
Yeah.
how can we increase that sort of the stickiness, the adherence, if you will, to better habits by
Hmm.
giving them proper information, and say, like, I love Chick-fil-A. I mean,
Hmm.
living in Texas, I lived in Georgia for a little bit. My kids, we love Chick-fil-A, but there are options in Chick-fil-A that I'd like to go eat rather than just everything else, right? So if I look at my meal plan and I go, okay, the grilled chicken salad with balsamic vinaigrette is the best option for me, and
Yeah.
I should avoid, or if this is neutral, let's say a grilled chicken sandwich. Do I eat the grilled chicken sandwich? Absolutely. I absolutely love it.
Hmm.
But more often than not, I'll try to eat the grilled chicken salad before, if I do six of
Yes.
those meals and then one of those. It's okay. It's about building those habits and getting the right information.
Absolutely. I agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
So
Hmm.
we've seen that work pretty well. Now let's switch gears a little bit uh, to strength training a little bit, and the glucose control.
Hmm.
And I'm just looking at the questions here. So actually, before I get change gears,
Hmm.
one question that I had in mind is, when we look at recommendations for, again, we talked about the macros, right? The
Hmm.
three big ones.
Hmm.
Excuse me, protein, carbs, and fat, right? The three big ones. There are formulas that are out there that say, hey, for every pound of body weight or every kilogram of body weight, eat 1 gram of protein, for example.
Hmm.
Or 65% of your meal should be protein, 25% this, and 10% that, whatever the case might be. Are there, you give the number of 30, is the good number of 30 different vegetables a week to incorporate in your meals? Besides that, is there a general formula? So if somebody is a certain body weight or a certain age or certain disease state, that they should try to incorporate X percentage of their meal, or X percentage of their meal should come from fiber? Is there, I'm not sure, is there a formula like that people can stick to?
Well, one formula I like to follow is I don't know if you've seen the diabetes plate. I'm sure you have,
Yeah.
right? You see, yeah.
Yep.
And so for me, I think that is a great guide for people. So if you
Okay.
go 50% plants, and that's anything, squash, um, cauliflower, protein, I'm sorry, protein, spinach, anything. You know what I mean? You go 50%,
Mm,
right, of your meal is that. And then you have the 25% that is carbs and 25% that's protein. Now, it turns out your protein may still be plants. You might do tofu in there or some other
beans.
kind of
Yeah.
something that is may still be plants. And then you're really done 75%.
Mm,
And then 25% can be carbs. So
got it.
I would even say, if you wanted to throw, I I don't like people to eat white rice, but if you have to have white rice, you want to throw it in that little 25%, 25%, you
Got
know,
it.
do that, sometimes if you need to. But that is, again, layman's terms, right? That's really what I like to focus on and what people can understand. That diabetes plate is an excellent guide. Like,
Yeah.
when you look at even if you don't have the actual plate, when you look at your plate, do you have 50% plants on there? I'm not cutting out your meat, your protein, whatever you want. You want a little steak there or whatever you want, that's fine. And then your carbs,
Got it.
25% there. And I think if you follow that guide, you'll end up in a really good space.
Got it. Got it. Um, well, it brought up another question to my mind that I wanted to
Hmm.
pick your brain on. So, what we have noticed, and I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on is, the as you were talking about the plate, it kind of spurred this in my head. Is this whole concept of meal sequencing, right? So if in your plate, and what we try to teach our members, and it's what's interesting is I'll talk to some of my friends that are
Hmm.
the big meat eaters that will take a salad reluctantly every now and then.
Hmm.
And what I've tried to, kind of educate them on that we have learned through our experiences in building Healed is that meal sequencing goes a long way. So if you are going to eat, let's say, steak, potatoes, and a salad, the normal mindset is, and I think it's human nature. I got food in front of me. I'm just going to cut up pieces and I'm going to eat that
Right.
because, hey, it's in front of me. But the meal sequence piece that we teach our members, the folks that are using Healed, is fiber first,
Eat the
fiber
fiber
first,
first. Yes.
fiber
Hmm.
first, right?
Absolutely.
So you
Yes.
do the fiber, then the protein slash fat, depending
Hmm.
on, let's say you're eating steak, it's going to have both of those
Hmm.
in decent amount. And then you do the carbs. So if you meal sequence in a certain way, it is always going to have a lower sugar spike than the other way around, which is I'll eat the potatoes first, then I'll eat the steak. Then God, if I have any space, I'll get to my salad.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
is that something that not is that's just not the right approach, but is that something that you would recommend to your group members?
Absolutely, absolutely. Eat the plants first because it's going to act like a little pillow around,
Mm,
let's say if there's sugar, it's going to act like a little pillow that's going to keep the sugar from jumping out right away. It's going to slide out slowly. You know what I mean? Because you have this little protection of fiber as it's going down, and any sugar that's in there is going to come out nice and slow, and that's what you want. You want it to slowly get into the system. You don't want it,
right.
just jump, just flying out so that you
Yeah.
have sugar spikes. You want it slow, measured, release of the sugar. So, yes, eating the fiber first is going to act like a little pillow to protect the food all the way down.
Got it. Yeah, it
You
was
know,
so interesting. I mean, as we were building, and as we were working with our clinical team to understand all this, like, my God, it's not even you're not even changing anything you're eating. You're just changing the way you eat
the
it.
way you do it. Yep.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's
It really
lives.
matters. Yep.
Yeah, very
Mhm.
interesting. So, Brooke, personally, from
Mhm.
from your story, from your background, what inspired you to go plant based or focus on this area? What was the driving force behind that?
Um, well, I went plant-based back in 1992. Um, and it had to be the influence from my grandmother and
Mm,
also religion. So back when I went plant-based, I was Seventh Day Adventist, and I had been raised Seventh Day Adventist my whole life.
mm,
And so It seems like it's less so now. I haven't been Seventh-day Adventist in about 25 years, but it seems like it's less so now. That it was like a really big push, or maybe it was because of my grandmother was vegetarian. I'm not really sure. It was a really big push, and it was like kind of believe that if you were, 100% plant-based, that was like the pinnacle. But if you were
Mm.
vegetarian, that was good. And if you were a meat eater, you were striving to be one of the two groups. And so around 22, I became really devout Seventh-day Adventist, and it was just a natural thing for me to go vegetarian. And back in those ancient 90s, we didn't we didn't use the term vegan at all. It was either you were a vegetarian or a strict vegetarian. So if you were a vegetarian, it meant you were ovo-lacto, I mean you ate eggs and you
Mm.
ate dairy. If you were strict, then that meant you ate like a vegan. You know what I mean?
Mm.
What we call vegan now. So that that is what inspired it. Just I guess religion, and then I never let it go. Even when I changed my religion, I still didn't let go of being plant-based.
Perfect, bro. You stuck to
Mhm.
the lifestyle aspect of it. It's what I don't call it ancient '90s. I mean, heck, I just say that's when Backstreet Boys were in high school. I mean, that's makes it a little bit easier to correlate, or like, oh, okay, it's a band, it's okay, or Metallica was just really old at that time, or getting older at that time, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. All right, so let's if you were to sum all this up, what are your three key takeaways that you would tell somebody managing diabetes when it comes to diet, plant based, plant forward? What are some of the three main takeaways that you want them to take away from this conversation, or in general?
I would say for 30 days, spend an hour a day learning about fiber, learning about plants, not so much learning about necessarily the disease, because it all just starts coming at you hard and fast, and it's scary, and people, you hear about people's limbs being cut off and things like that, so it's a scary thing. It's
Yeah.
scary. But I would spend some time, an hour a day for 30 days, and then that gives you 30 full hours of just learning about plants, fiber, and some of these concepts that we're talking about, strength training. Just learn about some of the things that your doctor, your nutritionist has thrown at you, and don't focus on the disease, but focusing on the solutions. An
Mm.
hour a day. And I think that when you come out of it, oh, and then also commit to doing something, not just learning about it, but putting into practice for 30 days as well. So if you learned about, say, and when I say learn about plants, let's just say you didn't grow up eating eggplant or rutabaga, or these are strange things to you, broccolini, broccoli rab. What are these things? Spend a little time every week introducing a new one, trying it out in
Mm.
different ways. Even if you let a restaurant prepare it for you first before you bring it home and try it yourself. And definitely, to your point, you were saying that your family goes all over the world. I've been all over the world as well. And one thing I really ask my community to do is to go to international restaurants, like really visit those international spaces. Like when we do a challenge, one of their homeworks is like, go to a pho, go get some pho, like
Yeah.
get tofu, and because it has all these pickled vegetables on it. And I'm thinking about the banh mi, but still pho, has all the different vegetables. It comes with a whole
Yeah.
plate of wonderful green vegetables and bean
Heck, bean
sprouts, and
sprouts, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and lime. And so try these, go to a Mediterranean restaurant, try the baba
Yeah.
ganoush, the hummus, different things the tabbouleh, things you hadn't tried. But spend 30 days really committed to it, and seeing if you can devote an hour a day to it. And it really will change the trajectory of your path if you're committed to spending just 1 hour. And that doesn't mean that you have to spend an hour weight training. It
Yeah.
means that you learn about it, you spend time reading about it, you scroll about it, and then you maybe just do 10 minutes a day. You know what I mean? Or you do 10-minute intervals of walking or lifting or kettlebelling or whatever, but you are devoting yourself to the subject for 30 days. And I think that the trajectory of your health can really change if you do that. Just
Knowledge is
because,
power.
yeah, and just committing to small changes. Don't beat yourself up.
Yeah.
Never beat yourself up. Always celebrate every little win, every little thing that you've done, and journal it. Write down your progress so that you can look back over your 30 days or however long and you celebrate yourself for what you've done. And that's how you're going to have the behavioral change, because it can be daunting, all these different things that we're talking about. And let's face it, if you've gotten to the point where you have now diabetes 2, you are you've built up a lifetime of
Yeah.
bad behavior. I'm going to call it bad, of
Yeah.
not great self-care behavior. So it's
Yeah.
going to take some time. You can't just now, I mean, you can get injections for it, but you're still going to have to learn new behaviors around it to be successful. And so give yourself time and grace to do that, because it took time to build up where you ended up. So it's going to take time to undo what you've done.
Yeah.
So
Perfect.
I
Well,
don't know if that
that's
was 3. Said a lot.
hey, but the more is better, right? The more recommendations people can get, the better it is. So, last question: How tell people how they can find you? How can they follow your work? And the social media sort of the presence, if you will.
Okay. So you can find my group on Facebook. It's 500,000. You just type in the word vegan soul food under group. You'll find us. You'll see my picture there at the top of the page. So you'll know that you're in the right place. You can also follow me on Facebook. My Facebook page is about 70,000 plus, and it's Vegan Soul Foodie.
Okay.
Um, Instagram, vegan.soulfoodie. It's 172,000. You can also get longer videos and longer instruction on YouTube.
Okay.
Search Brooke Brimm, or you can search Vegan Soul Foodie. It'll still come up. And go to my website, vegansoulfoodie.org. And you can work with me personally. I come out, I do demonstrations for your group, at your home. We do online classes. I have 4 recipe guides on the subject. One is a fasting guide to teach you how to, for 30 days, if you wanted to do raw and juice fasting, which I do twice a year. There's a whole guide on that. And then 3 other ones are one for sauces and dips and gravies, which is so important when you're doing plant-based cooking.
Yeah.
And 2 others for one for kind of what meat lovers will like, and the other one is just traditional vegan soul food.
Awesome.
And so that's
Well,
where you'll find me: Amazon, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube.
you too. Yes. Perfect. Well, I'm sure our listeners are gonna are gonna love to follow and learn more from you, Brooke. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. I truly enjoyed the conversation, and
Thank you.
I know we'll have a lot more to catch up later as well. But thank you so much for your time, and appreciate your sharing your expertise with our listeners.
No worries. Thank you so much.